Hello, hello. Is this thing on? Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Philly Fan Radio. This isn't an official episode, but I wanted to talk about the press conferences that happened yesterday. Vic Fangio and Sean Mannion. Those are the two important press conferences. And first of all, this is the first time we've seen Sean finally after 3 months of hire. I don't know if he went through interview or press conference training, but it's nice to hear from the guy. Before we get to him, let's talk about Vic. The important thing is, I love Vic's interviews in his press conference. He's natural, he talks from the heart. One of the press conference people, they asked him about him retiring. And he said, you know what? Listen, it's the same thing from 23 season, 24 season. Yeah, it's on my mind, but I went to the doctor the other day and he says I'm aging backwards. And in this case, he said, I've got another 2 years at least under me. So that's a good relief knowing that our defensive coordinator is going to be around a lot longer because we can't handle another OC or DC retiring, moving, getting hired, or not working out. So, Vic, I can't wait to see you for another couple of years. You do remind me of JJ. Hopefully, you'll stick around a lot longer and really kind of follow in his footsteps. All right, everybody. Let's talk about Sean Mannion. And I actually have some notes here recapping his press conference from yesterday. My overall assessment right now to tell you about it, obviously this is the first one, and Philadelphia media is very tough to interview. And he seemed really nervous, but respectfully so. He has every right. Every time that he was kind of asked a question, he was grabbing his Aquafina water bottle. He's about to open it up, and then he's answering the question, and he's on, and then he's going back and forth, and then finally he takes a sip and then puts it down. You can tell he was a little nervous. It will only get better. And I got to tell you, this looks like Nick Sirianni's younger brother on it. He did come across very well for me. A lot of ums and ahs, but typically people do that when they talk. They're the filler space. Heck, I'll do it on this recording. Uh, uh, okay. Anyway, so let's talk about Sean Mannion and really kind of key takeaways on it. Who he is and how he got the job. Mannion is the new OC coming over from Green Bay, where he actually worked under Matt LaFleur as a QB coach. He was the East-West Shrine game when he actually got a call for a virtual interview, and then he came in for an in-person, and he said that he clicked almost immediately with Sirianni, Roseman, and Mr. Lurie. His background is unique, and he was a backup QB for years, obviously Rams, Vikings, Seahawks, Packers, and he always had coaching in mind, mentally cataloging his favorite calls and studying defenses from the sideline. I hope that works out in his favor, because he hasn't yet officially called an offensive play. His philosophy: blend, evolve, and maximize. So some of the big theme throughout the presser is that this won't actually be a total overhaul, thank goodness, because I don't think we need one. Mannion described the offense as a blend, keeping elements from what the Eagles have done well while layering in new schematic concepts from his background. He stated his goal is to simply maximize every player's strengths. Hopefully, we don't do four verticals and my man against your man. He talked a lot about actually marrying the run and passing game and making sure that many of the offensive elements as possible look the same to the defense before the snap. Now, we like that. We hopefully that they'll implement it because we know last year did not work out with that. We had no wildcats. We had no motions. It was really just some quick post routes. And everything looked the same. Everybody, all the defenses knew we had like four routes that we were running, some slants, some verticals, running, or Jalen. I mean, that was pretty much it. Speaking of Jalen, here's what Mannion had to say. He said everything so positive about Jalen that he would do anything asked from him. He's got great arm strength, accuracy, elite athlete. He noticed Jalen has been hungry in the meetings. And when he say hungry, he's not hungry in his appetite to eat more, but hungry to learn more, to work more, stay after practice on fundamentals. One reporter pointed out Jalen's rushing numbers actually dipped last year. And I like that Mannion said, listen, it's not a core part of our scheme. While he will still run, it's just one of the many weapons that we will have in our arsenal. All right. So his coaching staff, he mentioned Ryan, O-line receivers he worked with, Chris Cooper, new offensive line coach. He knew that when he played at Minnesota, yada, 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 whatever. Makai Lemon, he did actually have a question about that, and he's excited about the rookie He said he practices hard, studies the game, and takes pride in the little details, calling him a true pro. I'm guessing we're just going to have to see that on the field because, as an Eagles fan, you're always skeptic of what's going to come about. Footwork and timing as a core principle. When asked about his reputation for emphasizing QB footwork, Mannion got into the weeds. He kind of talked about installing a system where the timing of routes marries together and training the QB to feel the rhythm through his feet. This idea is your footwork is right and the ball just naturally wants to come out at the right moment. Here's where I say I hope that it will actually happen and a little skeptic because we all know that Jalen likes to throw it when it's kind of a sure thing. It's not too often that he's going to thread the needle, but there are very instances where he's going to let it rip, and we're okay that he does that. I think every QB wants to have that rhythm and wants to feel that. And I think last year was really tough because the offensive scheme wasn't there, the plays weren't there, everything just wasn't working in timing for us, including the run plays. And that's one thing I noted that we didn't really talk about, or he didn't talk about in his press conference, but this is the first one. So I'm sure he's going to be asked a bunch of questions. The bottom line for this is Mannion comes across as a teacher first, a detail guy, someone who's been quietly preparing for this moment his whole career. He's not trying to blow up what Sirianni has built. Yeah, I'm not going to touch that a little bit. He's trying to modernize and elevate. The Jalen Hurts relationship sounds genuinely strong out of the gate, and the staff he's assembles seems to carefully chosen for a culture fit as much as a scheme. The big question will be whether the blend of old and new actually translates onto the field, but at least from a process standpoint, it seems to have a clear vision. Now, these are my notes from it. First press conference. So I'm hoping that this press conference kind of puts some things at ease. By the way, I thought he was great at the press conference. I literally, he was articulate. He knew his words. He chose his words, and he wasn't beating around the bush. I do want to ask him where the run game's going to be and what his feelings on the whole AJ situation is, but we are just a little over a week away before we figure out what the heck is happening with AJ Brown and what's going to be a surprise. Is he going to the Patriots or is he going to the Jaguars? Or is he actually going to stick with the team? I mean, that's a huge question. Do you want him to? But anyway, we're not going to get back to Sean Mannion. All right, first press conference. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think about the new offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles.